Hey everyone, Shabby Gamer here, and welcome back to the WWE 2K15 Universe Mode, and this, which is our last ever weekly episode of Combat Zone Wrestling's Hardcore Television. So let's have a quick look at the card we've got set for you this evening. We're going to start things off with two of the guys that will be in the Cage of Death match as Ricochet takes on the current Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Champion Caprice Coleman. Again, two more guys that will be in that Cage of Death tomorrow night. We've got Dean Ambrose, the former Combat Zone Heavyweight Champion, taking on Adam Cole. We're going to see Rhino taking on the current Ultraviolent Underground Champion, the Sandman. Masada will take on Bam Bam Bigelow in an Extreme Rules match. And then our main event this evening is the final two guys that will be in that Cage of Death match tomorrow night. It's Chris Hero and Biff Busick. So without further ado, let's get straight into our first match. And as I said, our first match will be two of the guys from that big Cage of Death main event tomorrow night. We've got the current Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Champion Caprice Coleman taking on Ricochet. And here we go, and two big names here, and of course Ricochet getting another opportunity tomorrow night to really prove what he can do. I have given him a lot of opportunities so far in this universe, but there's been quite a few people that I really wanted to push, and they've just really not had the best of times. So Ricochet is one of them. We've also got Zack Sabre Jr. who's struggled. Finn Balor sort of struggled in WWE current day roster as well, but he's starting to turn the corner now. He's on a bit of a winning streak. He's won about 3 or 4 matches in a row, so hopefully that will start to continue onwards. And of course Ricochet is a fantastic opportunity tomorrow night to finish this universe mode with that Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. It's not going to be easy though, of course. It's the Cage of Death pay-per-view. Essentially, our main event tomorrow will be a 6-man Hell in a Cell. Anything goes, everything goes. And essentially the winner of that Cage of Death will walk out of here the Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Champion for all time. Because, of course, unfortunately, CZW is not a roster that we're going to continue next year. It will be replaced by NXT. We don't be too disappointed because all the guys that are on this roster will find new homes next year. Don't you worry about that. A lot of the ECW guys will end up in the Attitude Era roster, and a lot of guys like Ricochet and of course Caprice Coleman, Adam Cole, Biff Busick, they will all find homes. Biff Busick, it looks like, is probably going to end up in NXT, but until that is confirmed, I think he will be wrestling in Ring of Honor and Global Force until that's completely confirmed. Same with the likes of Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. Rumour has it they're both signed, but until that's officially confirmed, they will be working for both Global Force and Ring of Honor next year. And of course, Ciampa and Gargano will be working NXT tapings as well, as a tag team, I think, as well. Just I don't know how long that'll last, but they're both fantastic singles competitors. But it gives us an extra tag team in NXT, and it really does help us with our... It really does help us out with our early tournaments as well, because of course all of our championships will be handed out via Gold Rush tournaments next year. There's going to be no free handouts in our universe mode. Everybody's going to have to earn everything. It's Ricochet, great springboard clothesline. Punch to the stomach of Caprice Coleman. And a big kick to the back of the head. And a victory here for Ricochet over the current Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Champion Caprice Coleman would be a bit of a coup for him, really. It'll help him take a lot of fantastic momentum into our main event tomorrow night at the Cage of Death. Ricochet twisting the arm of Coleman and now raking the eyes. And of course Coleman it was who defeated Dean Ambrose on Hardcore Television about 3 or 4 weeks ago for that Heavyweight Championship. He earned that opportunity by winning the best of the best tournament here in Combat Zone Wrestling a few weeks back. And not only did he beat Dean Ambrose for the championship, but the very next week, after we'd announced the Cage of Death main event at our Cage of Death pay-per-view tomorrow night, he actually went on to defeat Adam Cole as well, which is another big coup. If he picks up a victory here over Ricochet, then Caprice Coleman is really starting to prove that his championship win was not a fluke at all. And I must admit, I am surprised Caprice Coleman was the guy that managed to finally defeat Dean Ambrose. Ambrose defended that belt against Bray Wyatt, against Biff Busick twice. He's defended it against Rhino. He's defended it against Ricochet. And of course, all those guys are big names on the indie scene. I'm not saying that Caprice Coleman isn't a capable wrestler, but I was just surprised that it was finally Caprice Coleman that was the one that managed to take that championship away from Dean Ambrose. But that's how powerful the momentum is in this game. If you could pick up a few victories then that's really what pushes you forward. And that's something I'm going to be looking at a bit more next year. Essentially, I'm going to be doing, going to try and do what WWE do, where they bring in somebody you really want to push, and you just put them in squash matches to start off with, to build up their momentum, and then put them into big matches. That seems to be the best way of going forward. As Coleman hits that pull-in neckbreaker, we've seen him be very successful with that, but it wasn't enough. But we know he normally likes to follow up with this. The backdrop into the backbreaker. Coleman could pick up a huge victory here for Ricochet. 1, 2... He's done it. Caprice Coleman has picked up a huge victory here over Ricochet. One of his competitors tomorrow night in that big Cage of Death main event. As we look at some of the highlights from this match. Big German suplex there by Coleman. And here's that pull-in neckbreaker. We've seen him use that quite a few times very successfully. And of course, that was only for the 2 count. But then the big follow-up, this backdrop into the backbreaker, both onto the knees. Fantastic move by Coleman. The move he used to defeat Adam Cole, and of course the move he used to win that Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Championship a few weeks back as well. And Caprice Coleman is really heading into our Cage of Death tomorrow night with a huge amount of momentum now, knowing that he's defeated 3 of the 5 opponents in that match in singles competition over the last month. Is really going to help him out. However, the Cage of Death, is that going to be something just a bit too much for Coleman? He's not known for his hardcore capabilities or his resilience, really. And he's going to have both of those when he's locked inside a Hell in a Cell with 5 competitors. It's going to be very, very interesting tomorrow night. I hope to see you there. And our next match is 2 more guys that will be in that Cage of Death pay-per-view tomorrow night as Dean Ambrose takes on Adam Cole. And here we go, Adam Cole, Dean Ambrose. Of course, Dean Ambrose, the former Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Champion. We're hoping to pick up a victory here and start to rebuild some momentum going forward into that big main event tomorrow night. I think it's going to be more of Dean Ambrose's sort of concept, that big cell match. We know he's a bit of a lunatic. He's a bit mad, and he's no stranger to deathmatch wrestling himself. Of course, Adam Cole is a lot more of a sort of technical wrestler, I suppose you'd call him. He does have a few submissions in the locker as well. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm wondering as well, I'm not sure if this is possible, and if it is possible, we will do it, but can we do a 6-man Hell in a Cell elimination match? If we can, I think that is something that I will do. If we can't, then of course we'll have to just stick to our normal concept of a first pinfall or submission wins. But like I say, I would like to have elimination if possible. And I will guarantee you right here, right now, that the cell will be opened up. These guys will escape. If it doesn't happen with the AI, then of course I will be involved in that match myself, and I will make sure that these guys get out. Because I've done a couple of Hell in a Cell matches now in this universe mode, and in both occasions the guy has never managed to leave the cell, and it really frustrates me, because I think the last one I did was between Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker. I think it might have been it was Triple H versus Mankind. It was a Hell in a Cell, and yeah, like I say, in that cell match they didn't leave the cell at all. They didn't even leave the ring. The match stayed in the ring for the whole time, and it was really frustrating, really. Big German suplex there by Adam Cole. So I will ensure that, like I say, that is something that it does happen. We'll be breaking that cell door open. We'll be escaping. We'll be climbing the cage, using the tables. We'll be as much action as we possibly can. It deserves it. It's going to be our big finale episode. That's our big main event for the finale episode. It has to be good. I must admit, though, I'm terrible at this game. As you've probably seen, because all the matches that I do upload are all AI versus AI. I don't get involved normally because I am terrible. And I think that's something I'll have to look at next year on 2K16, because I do want to do the career mode. I'll probably ever go at the showcase. Well, I haven't even done the showcase on this game, so I probably will do that as well. And hopefully we can put out some much better content as well, hopefully. Because we're going to have a lot bigger rosters. We're going to have a better reversal system, better AI. Apparently 2K have said the matchmaking system is a lot better. The rivalry system is a lot better. One thing I did read is it's on the 2K website now. They've released details on the universe mode, and they've said that when you set up a feud, you normally had about 2 instances a month which built towards that feud, which Sort of makes sense. They face each other every single week, but you probably have about 2 cutscenes. And they've said that has now changed to roughly 10, which is a big... it confused me a little bit, because I'm thinking now, how do you fit 10 into 4 weeks? So unless they're going to have like interviews backstage, they're going to have cutscenes before the match, cutscenes after the match. And I think if they do, it's really going to help us build up the feuds and make them seem a lot more realistic, rather than just seeing 2 guys face each other every single week until the pay-per-view. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, and of course, I just want to get this game, I just want to get a hold of this game now and just start doing as much as I possibly can. Now I've got a nice big list from Jay of matches that he wants to see me upload in our first weekend of recording. Of course, like I said, it's going to take me at least a week or so to set up the universe mode, so I wouldn't expect to see anything until then. I might start to upload some of the title tournaments, especially for the current day roster in NXT, where we do have the guys on the game already to use. As Dean Ambrose locking in a beautiful submission there, hooking the leg and now just wrenching back at the neck, and Adam Cole's going to have to think about this. He doesn't want to lose this match, but at the same time he doesn't want to get injured going into that big Cage of Death main event tomorrow night. And thankfully for Adam Cole, Dean Ambrose breaks the submission hold, but then hits it with a Dirty Deeds, and that could be all. Adam Cole pulled into the middle of the ring. Dean Ambrose with a pin. 1, 2, and there it is. Dean Ambrose picks up the victory here and the momentum going forward to our big Cage of Death main event tomorrow night. Be sure to check that out. Like I say, it's going to be incredible. It's going to be our biggest event in CZW. It's going to be our best event, hopefully, in CZW as well. We're really going to have a lot of action. And we now see Dean Ambrose and Caprice Coleman picking up the momentum here this evening. We still have one more match between the competitors. That is our main event here this evening. Chris Hero versus Biff Busick. Be sure to keep tuned for that one. That's going to be another great match too. Very good styles to mix up. Very, very stiff wrestlers as well. So that's going to be a great, great match, that one. And Dean Ambrose, desperate to get his Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Championship back. And he knows that tomorrow night is his one and only chance to do that. And now it's time for our next match here this evening. It's Rhino versus the Sandman. And here we go. We've got the Sandman wearing some dodgy attire here this evening. I must change some of the attire. It doesn't really matter now, does it? 2K16 comes out next week. And of course, both these guys will be heavily involved in 2K16. Rhino a lot more than Sandman. Sandman will find himself at home in the Attitude Era as part of the Hardcore division. Rhino, on the other hand, we're going to see him in the Attitude Era as part of the Hardcore division. We'll also see him as part of Ring of Honor as well. And of course, he'll be in NXT as he currently is at the moment. So Rhino will be popping up everywhere and anywhere. So that's it's great to have these sort of guys that are very much, what's the phrase? Versatile, that's the one I'm using. Versatile. We've also got a couple more like that. Of course, Paul London and Brian Kendrick will be on my game as well, because they can work NXT, Ring of Honor, Global Force, and Attitude Era. So, like I said, I'm just trying to build up all the rosters I possibly can with tag teams. And of course, Kendrick and London will also be part of our Cruiserweight Championship in the Attitude Era as well, which is going to be great. Matt Hardy as well is also going to be working Ring of Honor and Attitude Era. So, as I say, I'm just going to try and get a few versatile guys that we can use for various rosters at the same time. If you guys have any suggestions of guys that I could use as well, please let me know. I'm trying to think if there's any more now. Obviously, we know that guys like AJ Styles will be working Ring of Honor and Global Force. Well, the Ring of Honor and Global Force rosters will have a lot of the same guys. They'll be sharing, of course, all the Bullet Club will be across Ring of Honor and Global Force. There's Rhino continuing the assault here on the Sandman. That's the music of his that's the music of Diamond Dallas Page, allowing the Sandman to get back up to his feet and back into this match, but it wasn't enough. And here is Diamond Dallas Page, has made his way to ringside, but Rhino with that big power driver sending a message to DDP. And that could be all she wrote here this evening. Rhino pulling the Sandman into the middle. Oh, Sandman's back up to his feet. Of course, we know that Rhino and Diamond Dallas Page have been feuding over the past few weeks. And Diamond Dallas Page doing all he can to try and pick up a bit more momentum over Rhino. Trying to pick up the mind games here this evening. It's not been terribly effective so far as Rhino's dominating this match now. Rhino with a pin. 1, 2. Only a 2 count. This match continues on. Running Bulldog by the Sandman. And of course the Sandman is the current Ultravan Underground Championship holder. He will be defending that belt tomorrow night. We don't know against who yet though. The match has not been officially made as yet. I think we'll make a random one tomorrow night and we'll make it a very, very interesting big fatal 4-way elimination Extreme Rules match as normal as the Sandman picks up the victory over Rhino. And the appearance here from Diamond Dallas Page was enough to distract Rhino enough to lose this match to the Sandman. And the Sandman again picks up some vital momentum going forward to this Cage of Death tomorrow, where he will defend his Ultravan Underground Championship in a fatal 4-way, as I just said. So yeah, the introduction of Diamond Dallas Page, the music distracted Rhino, and then the actual the attendance of DDP at ringside has really just thrown Rhino off his game. And DDP, you see him still up at the top of the ramp there, pointing down at Rhino. Rhino wants DDP in the ring, but DDP saying no, we will wait for tomorrow night. And our next match here this evening will be Masada taking on Bam Bam Bigelow in an Extreme Rules match. And Bam Bam Bigelow offering out a handshake here to Masada. We've seen these two guys have been at each other's throats over the last few weeks, and as you see, it doesn't last there for very long. Bam Bam now, the double axe handle to the back of Masada. And Bam Bam really getting an early advantage here. Taking Masada up, holds him there, lets him think about it, and drops him down hard in that vertical suplex. Takes Masada up and just launches him across the ring with that scoop slam. And Bam Bam is really doing a huge amount of damage here to Masada. The two guys lock up there, and Masada trying to get back into this, but Bam Bam is just too much. There's the step of Enziguri. Bam Bam sliding out the ring, looking to find a little bit of a helpful persuasion, but the baseball slide there by Masada taking Bam Bam out. These two guys both back in the ring, and Bam Bam slides back out, slides back in as well. Thinking about getting a weapon, but I think he saw Masada was a bit too with it to allow him the time to grab that weapon. There's an elbow drop there by Masada. Bam Bam went for the big clothesline. Masada avoids it. Gets around the back of Bam Bam and just that thump to the back of the head. And there's a big boot as well, so Masada can't get his leg up that high and actually hit him in the chest, which is probably a bit more painful. All that pressure hitting the middle of the ribs is really going to hurt. Atomic drop there by Bam Bam Bigelow. Now launches Masada into the corner. Masada comes bouncing back, but Bam Bam spins him round. There's the Saito suplex by Bam Bam Bigelow. Going in for the pin. 1. Only a 1 count. Masada still in this one. And Bam Bam takes Masada up on his shoulder. Oh, and there's that big ending. That could be all here. 1, 2. Oh, no, so close. Masada still in this one. We thought Bam Bam had finished him off, as in to speak. Bam Bam taking Masada up onto the top rope. Oh, if he wasn't finished off already, this could be seriously bad here for Masada. Bam Bam takes him up. There's the superplex. Into the pin. 1, 2, and no, still Masada in this one. You know what, guys? I might have to leave you for a second, as a postman's just turned up at my door. Masada now with that big slam. Followed up by the elbow drop. Brings Bam Bam back up to his feet. Bam Bam with a quick roll up. 1, 2. Only a 2 count still. Masada misses Bam Bam. There's the hip toss. I'll be back in 1 second. I'm back. I'm back. What happened? What happened? Did Bam Bam win? No, Bam Bam didn't win. So how unprofessional is that, me answering the door in the middle of a recording? Was it Masada with that backdrop into the slam? We've seen him use that to finish off matches before. Ah, Michinoku driver. Yeah, that would be the end of Bam Bam Bigelow there, surely. 1, 2, and 3. So Masada picks up a huge victory here over his rival Bam Bam Bigelow. And I do apologise once again for answering the door in the middle of that. I've got some stuff delivered for my new computer so I can start using it properly. New keyboard and mouse and speakers and so forth. So once again, I apologise for that very, very bad professionalism there from me. Great win here for Masada. Of course, we know these two guys will clash again tomorrow night. Not sure yet if we'll give it an extra gimmick. It'll definitely be Extreme Rules at least. But it's going to be very, very interesting between these two. And now it's time for our big main event here this evening as Chris Hero takes on Biff Busick. And here we go, the final two guys for that big Cage of Death pay-per-view main event tomorrow night. That 6-man Hell in a Cell for Caprice Coleman's Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. They collide here this evening. We've already seen Caprice Coleman pick up some great momentum by defeating Ricochet, and the same with Dean Ambrose as he defeated Adam Cole. He will be the final guy to take a victory into that big pay-per-view tomorrow night. And of course, it's going to be incredibly difficult for Caprice Coleman to defend that Combat Zone Wrestling Heavyweight Championship against 5 of possibly the best superstars in the indie scene in my universe mode. If not just in the world, really. They're 5 incredible competitors. And they've all got something to prove. There's a great scent on there by Biff Busick, on Chris Hero. And a big stiff chop. Like I said, these two guys, very, very stiff wrestlers. If you're not quite sure what that means and you're just giggling, it basically means they hit very, very hard and genuinely hurt people. One of the ones that I know the most is Tommy N. He's a Dutch wrestler who wrestles in the UK a lot, and he's actually been wrestling for Pro Wrestling Guerrilla as recent as well. He is also trained as a kickboxer, I believe, and some of the kicks you see him use are absolutely immense. It really is. And I think I've seen him in a Southside wrestling show just knock somebody doolally. The guy was out of it. He had to be helped to the back after the match. He just staring around like he didn't know where he was. There's a cravat neckbreaker by Chris Hero. We've seen him win many a match like that. Could this be a very quick one here? 1, 2. No, it's only a 2. That wasn't enough, but this could be. There's the elbow to the back of the head of Biff Busick. Hero rolls him over. 1, 2. And it's Hero taking the momentum into tomorrow night's Cage of Death main event. That big 6-man Hell in a Cell for Caprice Coleman's Heavyweight Championship here in Combat Zone Wrestling. Another very short match here this evening. It's been a very, very quick weekly show, this one. And of course, it is our last ever episode of Combat Zone Wrestling's Hardcore Television. And what a way to finish it off with his big main event and Chris Hero's big elbow to the back of the head of Biff Busick. You don't see it coming. You can't prepare yourself. You could easily get knocked out straight away. And that is it. Great win here for Chris Hero. So Chris Hero, Caprice Coleman and Dean Ambrose all entering that cell tomorrow night with a victory behind them. Well, anyway, guys, that is the end of this episode of Combat Zone Wrestling's Hardcore Television. The end of the very last episode. I hope you've all enjoyed it. Please hit that thumbs up button for this entire series. And of course, subscribe if you're not already. I've been Shabby Gamer. Thank you very much for watching. And goodbye.